Ozzy Osbourne's death shocked the world. But what if it wasn't just the end of a legendary life, but the result of a hidden truth buried for decades? Sharon Osbourne has just broken her silence, and what she reveals isn't what fans expected. Because behind the music, behind the madness, was one haunting mistake that no doctor, no bandmate, and no journalist ever talked about. Until now, Ozzy Osbourne was the Prince of Darkness. But even the prince had a shadow he couldn't outrun. Long before his final days, something was already eating away at him, and not just physically. Sharon saw it. She felt it. And now, she's revealing what no one else would say out loud. For most of the world, Ozzy's decline looked like the natural toll of age and rock star excess. But for Sharon, it started decades earlier, not with drugs, not with alcohol, but with silence. A silence that crept in the moment he became a legend. The first warning came after the No More Tears tour. Ozzy complained about a strange sensation in his spine. Doctors waved it off. Just aging, they said. Nothing to worry about. Sharon pressed for more tests. But the results? Inconclusive. So they moved on. Until 1995. That year, while recording Osmosis, Ozzy collapsed during a rehearsal. He brushed it off. Sharon didn't. Something's wrong, she said. But every time she pushed, the answers got vaguer. Dehydration, exhaustion. But Sharon noticed more. His memory started slipping. Not just names or lyrics, but moments. Their children saw it too. Kelly once asked her mom why. Dad forgets my birthday every year now. It wasn't drugs. Ozzy was clean. That's when Sharon made her first mistake, trusting the wrong experts. She brought in a new specialist, flown in from Switzerland, a man who treated several big-name rockers. His diagnosis? He's fine, just needs rest. Sharon wanted to believe him. So she did. But that decision, she says now, was the beginning of the end. By 2003, during his reality TV fame, fans saw a clumsy, mumbling Ozzy and laughed. But what they didn't see was what Sharon witnessed every night. A man struggling to walk, to eat, to stay awake for more than 3 hours. One night, she caught him standing outside their bedroom door for 20 minutes, not moving. "What are you doing?" she asked. "I forgot where the handle was," Ozzy whispered. Doctors insisted it was Parkinson's, or at least the beginning stages. But Sharon had a gut feeling. This wasn't just a disease. It was something environmental. She started pulling medical records, nutrition logs, even water toxicity tests from their various homes. One finding changed everything. High levels of cadmium and lead in their Beverly Hills mansion, both known neurotoxins. Sharon exploded. He's being poisoned. But no one listened. The mansion had been renovated while they were on tour. New pipes, cheap materials, industrial paint. She tried to get him out of the house. Ozzy refused. "It's home," he said. In 2006, Ozzy began showing tremors, but not Parkinsonian. They were erratic, sudden, like seizures without warning. But still, every test came back unclear. Sharon began blaming herself. She had built the Osbourne brand. She had turned him into a household name. But maybe, in doing so, she had turned him into a product. By 2010, Ozzy's team was so large and insulated that Sharon could barely intervene in decisions. One day, a promoter booked him for 3 shows in 1 week, all back to back. Sharon objected. She was told to stay out of the business side. That's when she snapped. She fired half his team, rebuilt everything, took him off tour, moved him to a private facility in the English countryside. And for a moment, just a moment, Ozzy came back. He remembered lyrics, played guitar, even joked. But that didn't last. By 2015, a new shadow emerged, one that no one could explain. Ozzy began fearing mirrors. refusing to look in them, telling Sharon there was someone else in the reflection. She dismissed it as hallucinations, a side effect, but it kept happening. And then he began drawing. Pages and pages. The same image, a cracked skull with wires pouring out of it. A neurologist reviewed the drawings and whispered to Sharon, "This looks like cognitive trauma, maybe from untreated TBIs. Has he ever had head injuries?" Sharon laughed. "He's fallen off stage 6 times, crashed multiple quads, been knocked out in hotel brawls. Take your pick." The neurologist looked at her with a somber face. "Then why hasn't he had a brain scan in the last decade?" Sharon froze. That night, she ordered a full MRI. What it revealed was worse than she feared. Microfractures, scarring, blood seepage in old tissue. Parts of his brain had literally shrunk. The doctors admitted it. He's been living with trauma-induced neurodegeneration for over 20 years. No one noticed because it's masked by fame, by eccentricity, by addiction history. But it wasn't addiction that killed him. It was neglect. Sharon wept in the hospital hallway. 20 years. 20 years of missed signs, silenced instincts, and false reassurances. The Prince of Darkness was never crazy. He was injured. And nobody listened. In late 2023, Ozzy's organs began failing. Not from age, not even from Parkinson's, but from systemic stress. His brain was no longer regulating the nervous system properly. Every breath was a battle. Sharon moved him back to England, canceled all appearances, and waited. By January 2024, he had stopped talking. By February, he had stopped eating. And then he died, peacefully, quietly, without drama. But Sharon never had peace, because the real cause wasn't time. It wasn't the music. It wasn't the drugs. It was the fact that everyone thought Ozzy Osbourne was too wild to be wounded, too famous to be fragile, too iconic to be ill. And that, Sharon says, is what really killed him. Fame didn't just put Ozzy Osbourne on the world stage. It built a wall around him. A wall so thick that even his cries for help couldn't escape it. And that, Sharon says, was the cruelest part. Not the disease, not the decline, but the silence. The silence of doctors. The silence of enablers. The silence of the music industry. And even her own. When Ozzy died, the official statement was vague. Complications from a long-standing illness. But Sharon's private statement, the one she whispered at his bedside, was far more brutal. "I'm sorry I didn't fight louder." Because Sharon knew, long before the headlines, before the public breakdowns, she knew something wasn't right. But she also knew the price of speaking up. Every time she questioned a doctor, a manager, a producer, the same answer echoed back. "It's Ozzy. That's just how he is." But the truth was that Ozzy, the stumbling, mumbling caricature, wasn't her husband. It was a mask. One he was forced to wear so the world could keep laughing. And every time they laughed, the real man disappeared a little more. Sharon remembers one moment with crystal clarity. It was 2007. Ozzy had just finished an appearance on Jimmy Kimmel Live. The crowd loved it. He was unpredictable, incoherent, bizarre, the perfect rock relic. But backstage, Ozzy collapsed. Not from exhaustion, but from confusion. "Where are we?" he asked Sharon. "What year is it?" She didn't cry. Not in front of him. But she remembered that night as the first time she realized she might outlive him. After that, Sharon started documenting everything. His diet, his medications, his sleep patterns, every fall, every blackout. She became his unofficial nurse, even as he insisted he was fine. But one entry in her journal changed everything. December 3rd, 2008. "Ozzy called me Mom today. not in a joking way. He really thought I was his mother. And then he started crying. He thought she was still alive. He begged me not to tell Dad. It was the first time Sharon confronted a terrifying possibility: dementia. But when she brought it up to his medical team, they brushed her off. His tests don't confirm that. It's just medication confusion. Don't jump to conclusions. They were wrong. And Sharon knew it. She began consulting independent specialists behind closed doors. One neurologist in London gave her the most honest response she'd heard yet. You're asking the right questions, but you won't get answers unless someone's willing to risk their license. Because what was happening to Ozzy wasn't just neglect, it was cover-up. The music industry thrives on denial. Rock stars aren't allowed to be fragile. Their brands, their legacy tours, their merchandising empires. If word got out that Ozzy was cognitively impaired, millions could be lost. So the silence grew deeper. Tour schedules continued. Interviews were tightly scripted. Appearances were micromanaged. And Sharon kept quiet, not because she was complicit, but because she was terrified. Terrified of the truth, and even more terrified of what the truth would cost. In private, she began writing letters to her children. Not for now, but for after. Letters that explained what was really happening to their father. Letters she hoped they'd never need. But as time passed, those letters grew longer, and the lies grew heavier. In 2013, Sharon made one last desperate move. She scheduled a complete brain scan for Ozzy under a fake name at a private Swiss clinic. It took months to coordinate. She told the world they were going on vacation, but in truth, it was a final attempt to find something, anything, that could stop what was coming. The results were devastating. Ozzy wasn't just experiencing trauma-related brain damage. There were signs of early onset Alzheimer's, scar tissue on the frontal lobe, reduced hippocampal volume, and most alarmingly, signs of cumulative electrical trauma. The doctor asked her a chilling question. Has he been exposed to prolonged electromagnetic fields? Stage equipment? High-frequency audio pulses? Sharon sat in stunned silence. Of course he had. Decades of earpieces, subwoofers, stage monitors, tour buses, lighting rigs, all bombarding his nervous system without regulation. No one had ever tested him for that. Why would they? He was Ozzy, the man who bit the head off a bat, the immortal rocker, the indestructible freak of nature. But he wasn't indestructible. He was human. And now, he was dying. Sharon knew there was no coming back. But there was still something she could do. She could make sure the truth didn't die with him. She began preparing a private video journal, one she would only release after Ozzy was gone. In it, she detailed everything. The symptoms, the missed diagnoses, the environmental damage, the systemic silence. She also named names. Producers who pushed for tours despite medical warnings. Doctors who altered test results. Managers who downplayed emergencies. Media outlets who mocked his decline. And finally, herself. Because Sharon wasn't interested in painting herself as a hero. She knew she wasn't. She had made choices, sacrifices. She had protected the brand, even as the man faded. And she would never forgive herself for that. But the journal wasn't just a confession. It was a warning. Because what happened to Ozzy was already happening to others. Aerosmith, the Rolling Stones, Paul McCartney. Icons paraded on stage long after their bodies had begged for rest. Legends kept alive not by medicine, but by money. Sharon's final message was simple. This industry feeds on the undead, and my husband deserved better than to be another zombie. By 2020, Ozzy's condition had worsened beyond recognition. He had moments of clarity, brief, heartbreaking moments when he'd grab Sharon's hand and whisper fragments of their past. But most days, He didn't know who she was. Still, she stayed. Not out of duty, but out of love. And that love, the real, quiet, unseen love, is what she says gave her the strength to finally break the silence. In the final weeks of Ozzy's life, Sharon made one last promise. Not to protect his image, not to uphold the Osbourne legacy, but to burn it down if it meant the truth could breathe. When she finally spoke out, days after Ozzy passed, she didn't hold back. And the world wasn't ready. Fans were shocked. Journalists called it sensational. Medical professionals disputed her claims. But the silence had been broken. And that, Sharon says, was all that mattered. Because Ozzy wasn't just a victim of a disease. He was a victim of a system that buries warning signs under glitter, that silences pain beneath platinum records, that lets legends die slowly, so long as the cash keeps flowing. And now, Sharon's determined to end that. She's partnered with neurodegenerative research centers, funded medical studies on long-term touring effects, advocated for mandatory cognitive screenings for aging performers. She even launched a campaign, Louder Than Silence, protecting the minds behind the music. Because Sharon doesn't want your sympathy. She wants your outrage. She doesn't want Ozzy's legacy to be another tragic headline. She wants it to be a turning point. And maybe, just maybe, the truth that killed Ozzy can finally save someone else.